Hi, welcome back to this week's episode of Unlevel Leadership. So, you want to figure out how to grow your career? Ha! Well, as they say in the travel business, you will not get to your destination if you don't actually look at a map. So, if you want to know where you want to go, you need to have a vision of what you want. So, how do you develop a vision statement for your career? Stay tuned to find out. I know that there are many people out there who feel like vision statements are just a crock of poop, right? And it's like, man, I don't want to create a vision statement or a mission statement for my life. That just seems like a useless exercise. But I'm here to tell you that it's really not a useless exercise because you really do need to have a vision for what you want your life to be and look like because not only does it help to inform your action steps that you should be taking, and maybe even inform the obstacles that might come up for you when you're trying to get to that goal, but it really helps to provide the inspiration you need so that you can push through those times when you're doing things that maybe aren't quite as exciting or maybe a little bit boring in the business that you're doing or in the work that you're doing. Let's look into how you could potentially create your own career vision statement. One of the things that helps to inform us as to what we want in life is to look at what we don't want and then do the opposite. So that's one way that you can kind of get to what you want, which is look at your current role right now. And what is it that you really don't like? What is it that you really cannot stand about your current job, your current role? Is it just the money? Is it the stress? Is it the lack of balance? Like, what is it about what you're doing right now that you don't want? And then once you've kind of sat down and jotted down a few ideas about the things that you don't like about what you're doing, I want you to spin that around and look at what excites you in the work that you do now or the work that you've recently done. So take the last 3 positions, projects, programs you've led or managed or were a part of. And what about those projects or what about those programs or what about that job did you really enjoy? Like really turned your crank, motivated you, got you excited about going to work every morning, really went well for you. I want you to take a minute and sort of think about that. If you have to pause this video to do it, by all means do so. But here's the thing. Really getting to, let's say, the last 3 positions, so the most recent ones, getting to what motivated you most. Look for that like golden thread as Simon Sinek talks about when talking about the big why. What is the common thread or the golden thread between these things? So when you worked the last 3 jobs, what was the thing that really turned your crank the most? Because that's going to help drive you in terms of what you should be doing. Look at what lights you up, what makes you excited to go to work every day. Once you've done that, you need to start thinking visually how you want to be or where you want to be in, let's say, 5 or 10 years. I'll let you decide on the timeline. I like to think in 3-year increments. That's just me because I'm used to a 3-year strategic planning cycle in my previous workplace. So I tend to go 3 years, but you can go 5, you can go 10, you can even go as far as 20 if you really want to get into your inner wisdom or your inner sage. And I actually have a visualization that I'm going to put in the description down below for this. If you want to connect with your future self, there's a visualization I've done for that. But where do you want to be? And this is not the time to be pragmatic, right? When you're thinking about where you want to be 5 and 10 years from now, reflect on your dream for the future. Again, get into the clouds. Don't worry about being in reality at this point. Really be bold. Suspend reality for just a few minutes and think big. Where do you want to be? If success was guaranteed, what would your life look like? What would be the perfect job, the perfect role? Is it being in business? Is it having a vice president position? Is it working on a kayak somewhere? Like, what is your dream job? Imagine what kind of work you would do. And anything is on the table for this exercise. So again, I would suggest that, take a few minutes, pause this video if you need to really dive deep and think about, daydream. What could I possibly want to do in 5 years' time for a career perspective? Once you've done that and you've jotted some things, some ideas down as to the kinds of things you'd like to see yourself doing in 5 or 10 years, what are your strengths? We all have them, right? We all have them. Your strengths are your strengths and mine are mine. What are your strengths? If you have trouble with this, you can go online and look at strengths assessment and you'll find all sorts of strengths assessments out there. There's a VIA strengths assessment out there and really get your top 3 strengths. Are you dependable? Are you on time? Are you loyal? Are you dedicated, whatever it is. What are your three top strengths and how might you leverage those strengths to get that vision that you want in 5 or 10 years? What are some strengths that could help support a career shift or provide opportunity in a new position, or maybe even in the position you're in right now to make things better? The next step I want you to look at then is, what are your values? And more importantly, how do those values align with where you are now? And how would they align with where you want to go in 5 or 10 years? So, this is really important because the reason for burnout, the reason why people feel unhappy, the reason why we hate our jobs more often than not is because the values that we have for ourselves do not align with the job that we are currently in. So, if you want to create your new future and want to find the role or the career of your dreams, you need to get damn clear about what you value and ensure that your next role, as much as possible, aligns with those values. An example of this would be, for example, if you value balance and freedom, and you're currently working in a job that requires you to work 8 to 12 hour days where you're on the computer, and you've got a phone that at the end of the day you are tied to or tethered to like an umbilical cord, that you have to respond to your vice president at 8 o'clock at night if he or she sends you a message. If that's the kind of job you have and you want balance and freedom, you're going to be miserable. I remember two of my values is freedom and fun/joy. My previous job is a great job and it's an important one in terms of managing public health emergencies. But I have to tell you that the balance was just not there. I was working 8 and 12 and sometimes 14-hour days during COVID. And then I still had to work in the evenings getting stuff done that I couldn't get during the day when I was in meetings all day. So that's not balance. And it was making me miserable and actually burnt me out, like totally fried me. So again, making sure that your values, the ones you hold dear, align with your role is super important. So get clear. What are your values? How do you figure out your values? There's a few online assessments that you could do to figure this out. You can also buy values cards. So for example, Kouzes and Posner have these values cards that you can buy through the Wiley Publishing House. You can probably get them on Amazon. People resell them all the time. But you've got your personal values here, and you have achievement, success, autonomy, beauty, challenge, right? And so what you do is you get these cards and then you go through them and you basically pick out 10 that speak to you. You basically go through them and you go, achievement, yeah, that speaks to me. Autonomy, yeah, that speaks to me. Beauty, no. Challenge, yes. Communication, no. Competence, yes. And then you go back and you look at your pile that you had yeses for, and you go through that again and you triage again. Okay, I need to pick 5 of these. So which ones speak to me the most? And then you take the ones that speak to you the most, and those are your values. It's really not a difficult exercise, but it's sort of a form of triage. It's a this or that exercise. And then you can do that as well. You can take your, let's say you've got these left, right? And you could do this. You could take 2 cards and go, okay, is it challenge or competence? I prefer challenge. Great. Competence goes in the discard pile. Then you have 2 more cards and you say, okay, achievement, success, or autonomy. I want success. Okay, autonomy goes away. And you do that until you have 3 of these left. It's really just an intrinsic sort of, how do I react to the word, and if I respond to it or feel like I'm attached to that value. So again, it's just a way of trying to get to the root of who you are from a values perspective. Then you want to bring it all together. Okay, so you've looked at your strengths, you've looked at your values, you've looked at your dream job, you've looked at where you want to be 5 and 10 years from now, you've looked at what you want and the kind of role that you want to be in. Then it's time to sort of sit down and start thinking about how you want to craft your career vision statement for yourself. So it's time to bring that into some sort of like 1-sentence statement as much as possible. Something that you can repeat to yourself, something that you can put on a wall or print or put on a plaque or whatever it is that you're interested in that sort of floats your boat. I like the kind of structure where you say, I will become, and then you insert your future goal or direction there in the industry or specific company, if that's something that interests you. So you're going to see down below here, I'm going to put that in for you. So an example will be, I will become a well-respected leader in the emergency management space to, decrease mortality and morbidities in Canadians. You could also have, my career vision is to kind of statement, very simple. My career vision is to become a leadership development specialist. I am committed to helping leaders grow and be successful in their careers. And I want to help them achieve, optimal performance or whatever. Come up with some statement around how you see your personal career goal. An example I found online that I'm going to read directly from my script here. And it basically says, I want to work with young children and young adults as a mental health counselor. My strong passion for raising awareness around mental health and wellness and my commitment to helping those who are struggling have inspired me to pursue this career. That's great because that ties in their values. They value raising awareness around mental health and their strength, which is their commitment to helping others. So you can tie your values and your strengths into a career vision statement for yourself. Somebody might say, well, that's great. I have a career vision statement. Like, who cares? I do, because here's why. When you have a career vision statement for yourself, you're basically confirming to yourself and to the universe or what have you that this is what you want. And I mean, whether you believe in the law of attraction or not, the reality is that your brain physiologically will look for things or patterns that will align with what your thoughts are or what your desires are. So if you believe that you want to have a career of a certain caliber, to have certain activities in it, it will look for that. I call it the Volkswagen factor. When you buy a Volkswagen or you decide you're going to look for Volkswagens, all of a sudden you see Volkswagens everywhere, or you can call it the BMW factor, whatever car you're into. But the next time you are out traveling, make a mental note that you want to see all the BMWs. Maybe you want to make a mental note of all the blue BMWs if that's what you want. Or maybe you just want to see all the M5s. I don't know, whatever you're into. And I'm telling you, you're going to see more of them. Why? Because your brain is wired to look for the very things that you desire. So if you really want to make a commitment to your career, you want to make a commitment to your next steps, and you want to make that career shift, you have to first visualize it. You need to understand how your values and strengths align with that vision. And then you have to say it by having a word, a phrase, a statement, and then say it to yourself almost like a form of mantra that this is what you want. Have a sign in your office. Have create some kind of poster for your computer so that every morning when you log into your computer, it's there for you to look at. Have a vision for what you want so that you can start building the career that you desire. Thanks again for being here. I do appreciate you being here. I am here every week giving you leadership and career level advice and information to help you be the best leader you can be to grow in your career. So if that's of interest to you, make sure you subscribe on YouTube or follow if you're listening via podcast, because I am here every single week. Take care, folks. Until next time.